First and foremost, I want to thank my constituents. Serving the 163rd District has been one of the most fulfilling things in my life. I couldn't do it alone. I had an incredible staff. Linda, Diane, Cheryl, Jeannie, Denise, and Debbie up here in Harrisburg really fulfilled the mission that I put forth to represent our constituents to the best of our ability. And we did just that. No constituent question, concern, or issue went unanswered. Allison from the communications department, she could speak a lot better than I could. And she put it on paper, and she really understood what I was about. I think I drove her crazy because I'd send her about 10 to 12 pictures of my weekly activities. She would say, can we do 5 this week? Because when people open them on their phones, it's not going to open. And I'd say no, because there's going to be 10 to 12 more next week. And there was. And that's something we were very proud of, our representation out in the community. I want to thank some important folks back home. John McNichol, who was my leader when I first got into politics. He gave me my first shot to be able to run for Upper Darby Township Council. As you heard Bill Keller mention earlier, I got the nod. And John was larger than life in Pennsylvania and politics across the country for the GOP. His son, Paul, my current leader. Paul has been my mentor, my friend, and he gave me my biggest shot to be able to run for this office, and he was there with me each step of the way. And one of the best hardworking mayors any town could have, Upper Darby Mayor Tom McCosey. I can't thank him enough for his leadership and his guidance. When I first came here, Bill Adolph was the appropriations chairman and the dean of the Delco caucus, or the dean of the Delco delegation. He gave me some advice. He said, if you don't care who gets the credit, you can get a lot done up here. And I was able to do that with amendments. One of the first and biggest pieces of legislation that I was able to really have an impact on was with Neil Goodman. I took his one-sentence piece of legislation and turned it into such an impactful piece of a legislation that helped home buyers and sellers across Pennsylvania be in charge of their contract instead of local municipalities dictating what needed to happen and who needed to do it. And now a buyer and seller can negotiate that amongst themselves. I did things a little different up here than most. Some of you may not know this, but I had a Democrat as a roommate, Mike Driscoll. We worked in a bipartisan fashion. We got legislation done, and we need more of that. When you find that common ground that Ron Marsko just talked about, you get great legislation done. It's going to be a little more difficult to find that common ground because a lot of those common ground legislators will no longer be here. But I encourage you to work on it because that is the best that you can be. When you walk out of the room a little angry and you walk out of the room a little happy, you know you got something done. The other side's the same way. I want to thank the leadership team. They allowed me to be a part of some things. Dave Reed. The fact is, I am not going to work for Dave Reed as a teller at his bank, so I just want to put that on the table now. But Dave has been nothing but good to me, and Dave, I thank you. And as I said, I did things a little different. Dave's 40, I'm 47, but Dave was a true mentor to me, and I truly appreciate that. And I want to work in the fashion that you always worked in because I felt that you were being honest and forthcoming as much as you possibly could, and I truly appreciate that. Jimmy Christiana, there's a guy that fought for EITC and OSTC alongside with the speaker, and we got some great things accomplished. You can be a public school advocate and be a non-public school advocate at the same time. And the folks that fight for EITC and OSTC prove that each and every day. And I've said it once, I'll say it a million times. Back home in the Southeast, if our Catholic schools fail, our public schools are in real trouble. And we need to make sure that there are opportunities, because one size does not fit all, and keep that fight up. I know Jim won't be here to carry it on, but I know the speaker will. To my Delco delegation, there was 5, there's now 2, but we were able to do a lot of good things. One thing we were pretty decent at was negotiating, and I know the leaders really did not appreciate that all the time, but I think they liked the game. And we were able to get some great things done for back home. A couple other things. I got to talk about the Appropriations Committee and each of the chair people on the committees I served. Some of you, I apologize. Others, you're welcome. And they each know what I mean by that. And on Appropes, we did some pretty great work. Now, that final product wasn't always the great work we did, but we did some pretty great work. And the Appropes Committee will understand that. I live by a motto that I never knew that I lived by. And just the other night, I was honored to receive the Churchill Award by the Upper Darby Community Outreach Corporation for not for my political service, but for my community service and my civic engagement and my willingness to support many different charitable groups financially and with time. And the Churchill Award is based off of this motto, and I do truly believe that it's very impactful and it is who I am. We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. And I make a living with what I get, but I truly do make a life with all that I give. Thank you. I've loved every minute of being up here in Harrisburg. I loved every minute of being back home serving my constituents. And the best part of being able to say goodbye is that I now get to spend more time with Amy, Tyler, Kira, Ryan, and our 2 dogs and the entire family who sacrificed so much for me. I love them very much. I'm not closing this door, but I am moving on today. Thank you.